Hey guys, how's it going? It's your captain here, Yeehaw Yadam, and we're back with some more One Piece trading card game content. So, more gameplay commentary, Pog. We have one of our fan favorites, Katakuri, versus Doflamingo. Now, if you guys don't know, Doflamingo was able to take first place at Gen Con. By the way, the guy that got it, I see him at a lot of events. I want to just congratulate him if he's watching this video. Good stuff, man. Really happy you were able to edge it out with Doflamingo. So, I know Doffy, besides, making a name for itself, in this current OP-03 meta, this player that we're going to be showcasing here has been playing his deck pretty often for some good amount of time. So he's going to go ahead and blind Doflamingo effect, go and show a love beam. You hate to see it, but it is what it is, So him versus the Katakuri. Now, I have shown this matchup in the past. Funnily enough, I think this was actually the Doffy player I was playing in that video, but this isn't me playing Katakuri. I didn't want to just show you guys a bunch of LoL videos since I was playing Law at locals this week, so I think this was a little bit more interesting. Let me know if you guys like the other angle in the Law video, or you like this angle a little bit more widescreen in this one. So he's going to go ahead and use Katakuri's effect, look at his own life, and then bottom deck it. Probably, either it's a really solid trigger, right? It could be like a Brûlé, Sovereignty, or anything of that nature, or it could just be a useless card. As there really isn't any in between, right? And then he's going to go ahead and play a Sparrow, which is really solid. Both players are getting to play what they want to do. Doffy's getting to go first, and Katakuri getting to go second. So Doffy's now on 5 Dawn. I would love to see any sort of stagger. His hand is super duper defensive. I see 3 loves in his hand without really much to do. So he's going to go ahead and attach 2 Dawn to Doffy. Going to go ahead and swing for 7 once again. Use Leader's ability, revealing a Mihawk. Boy, oh boy. Gotta take a sip of my coffee for that one. And we're gonna hit into a Sparrow. It's gonna go ahead and pitch a Thunderbolt. A Thunderbolt to go ahead and play it. Not what you want to see, and we're gonna leave 2 up, obviously, for what seems to be like a love beam. Yeah, so I don't see where we're gonna go with this. It is really nice to see the Mihawk, though. We do get to in 2 turns set up a dude that's gonna be applying a lot of pressure, but we're really giving yellow infinite time to do whatever it is that they want, right? So this turn, if I was the yellow player, I think I would put my foot on the gas pedal, go ahead and attach 2 Dawn to Sanji, Dawn to Leader, and then 6-7 with the pair of Sparrows, right? Unless he has like Perona, then I'd go like 5-7 Perona. So it'd be a 5-5-5-7-7 this turn, or sorry, 2 5s and 2 7s coming at him, which is really solid. I probably would use Katakuri's ability before I use the Sanji's. But since he knows what the bottom card is, he's going to go ahead and swing the Sanji and opt to go ahead and take that bottom card. So it's probably like a 2k counter, is what I would have to guess, just based off the playstyle. Then he's going to go ahead and I would use Katakuri's ability here to go ahead and see what I just stacked. I think that would be a really important move to make, a really important card to know what's going on. I just want as much information as I possibly can. He's going to go 6 at the Leader. Going to opt to take this one, defending the 5s but not taking the 6, so he's out of 2Ks in hand, and his hand is just full of love beams, which is kind of crazy. He's going to go 7 with the Sparrow. I think at this point he's using these attacks to play around like a 3000 worlds trigger or something like that. I just don't, because I would the least amount of Dawn investment would be on the Leader for a bigger attack. So you can go, instead of going 6, 7, and then 7 with the Leader and attaching 3 Dawn, you could have attached 1 Dawn, gone 7, which would have given you the love beam and also information on the card that's at the top of your life, right? And then you could have proceeded to go with the characters. But the only way the only reasoning that I think that you would do this is more along lines to play around 3000 worlds. So I'm gonna go ahead and go 7. The opponent's gonna take it. Now we're pretty even in life, which not great for the Doffy player because he has a lot of room to climb back up, right? So he's going to go now to 7 total Dawn, and at 7 total Dawn, there's really, again, nothing that Doffy does at 7 Dawn that he doesn't do with less Dawn. So he's going to go ahead and pay 2, 3. Seems like a Flamingo blocker is going to come down. Yep, he's going to finally get to see a Flamingo blocker, which is funny because had he just blind Doffy, he would have gotten a Flamingo blocker off the top. But this is a little bit more sweet, right? You get to see exactly what you want to do. Now he's looking at his trash, which means that there is a If they ever do this, it just shows that a Gecko Moria is in the top 5. And Gecko Moria is a heck of a card, right? It adds for a lot of cycle. It adds for a lot of length to the game, right? Recycling little blockers like the Law 1 drop, the Doflamingo 3 drop is super duper nice. Just gives your deck a lot of longevity as you can continue to just push on through, right? Because you're drawing with the Level Beam, you're summoning with the leader, you're drawing for turns, so you're going 3 cards at a time through your deck. And it's, you know, eventually over the course of a couple turns, you'll see that you're like halfway through your deck. Really, really nice. It's gonna take some time. It looks like he wants to put the Jinbei close to the top. He has a Perona too for later. He has a Gecko Moria. Deciding how he wants to go ahead and stack this. This is kind of like the toughest part of Doflamingo. Understanding how you want your stack and what you want to predict you need for the following turns, right? Because again, you're at 7 Dawn. You're probably going to use Flamingo's ability here. You've already made 3. Play another 3. At this point, you're not even paying 3. You're going to pay 4, right? Because there's no reason to hold up a singular Dawn. So you're going to go attack for 8. Use ability, summon a thing, unless you don't want to do that, because there's also a play where you can go 5 at the Sanji, summon a Boa Hancock from your hand. That's also a mighty fine play. If you do that, then you probably want to stack a 2k counter, because the next turn is 100% Mihawk, and you want to just draw a 2k. And turn after that is another 2k, and then you're going to start doing leader ability after that, right? So it just depends on what he wants to do here. If he starts attaching Dawn to his leader, then you know that he wants to go ahead and summon something off the top. But the fact that he didn't means that he's just going to go ahead and play the Boa from his hand, right? He's gonna go ahead and tab 4 and play the Boa. Now, I want to take this moment to say vaping is bad, kids. If you're watching this video, vaping is bad. I know he's doing it on the side, but that does not make him cool. Take a little sip from my coffee here. I say that as I trade one issue for another, huh? He chooses actually, instead of playing the Boa, to keep up 4 Dawn for the 2 Level Up Beams in his hand, which is kind of wild, right? Because again, you have just understanding the ebb and flow of the game. My opponent's at 8 Dawn here. All right, with 8 Dawn, what does Katakuri want to do? He wants to do one of 2 things. He wants to summon a 7-drop Mom and or an 8-drop Katakuri. One or the other. If that is the case, he's just going to base hit you. Maybe he'll like base 7 hit you, depending if he has the Mom. He's going to go ahead and use the ability to go ahead and draw one. Now, this is the card that he stacked, which is the 2k. So his hand is literally Love Beam, Mihawk, 2k, which is just very, very, very slim. And he's already attacked with both of the pair of Sparrows. And then his opponent, knowing that he's going to the Mihawk, his opponent is aware that the Mihawk is in his hand. He shouldn't play the Big Mom. He should probably opt to go Katakuri, add back the pair of Sparrow to his own life, and pass, right? Like, that would be a sick play, which would probably net him just infinite advantage. But we'll see what he opts to do here, right? So again, if you know that those plays are coming, I don't think I would opt to keep the Boa in my hand. I would have probably just let it ride. But he doesn't have a lot of counter. Boa was the only 1k in his hand. He opts to go ahead and 5 again. He Love Beams of 5. Love Beam 2 5s this turn. Feels super bad, man. And he's gonna, Katakuri and put the Doflamingo blocker back. Now, I think that is quite a teensy-beatsy mistake there, right? Because you could have just put the Paro Sparrow and healed yourself. I do think healing myself is better than healing my opponent, right? Because we are the aggressor in this at this time. We have a ton of cards in our hand. We're going to 10 Dawn. We're gaming. So I do think that he should have put the Paro Sparrow in his life just as another form of threat for his opponent. So here at 9 Dawn, though, it is a very simple turn coming from the Doflamingo player. It is 5 going at the Paro Sparrow. Paro Sparrow is going to probably get, I would give any 1k counter and or 2k counter to keep my 5 attack blocker. I mean, my 5k, well, he's basically a blocker. My 5k character, then he's going to go ahead and Mihawk a Paro Sparrow, and then we're just going to go back to the yellow player's turn where he's going to go 5/5/8 Mom. Just too telegraphed, man. It's just too telegraphed sometimes, right? Or at least, that would be the optimal set of moves that I can see at this point in time. So either that's what's kind of cool about One Piece, right? It feels a little similar to like chess, right? And I know that sounds really, really stupid because chess is a very complex, in-depth game. And I'm not trying to, derivise it to what One Piece is, but What I do mean by that is the fact that, like, when you play chess, or those of you that have played chess, there are like certain openers that you know, right? So when you play like on chess.com, you know that if you go e4 and your opponent does this, then that opener is called this, right? So it kind of feels like if I make this play, my opponent's most optimal play is this one, and then if when he makes that one, my most optimal play is that one. It just starts getting a little spicy when that's not the case. So I see Perospero here adding a Shirahoshi. Am I wilding? We'll see. I was talking too much about chess and looked away. Dang it. But what I was trying to get at was sometimes when your opponent deviates from these plays, right? Like if he doesn't have the big mom here, which we expect so heavily, what happens then? But just kidding. We don't derivate from the best play of the game, so we end up just burning a Flamingo blocker, which is whatever, because Gecko Moria, which we are aware that is in his drop because he took so long and he looked at his grave, is there. Is just going to be able to add it back. That is a 7 Dawn turn, but that is a perfect turn because you go Gecko, Doffy, you have 3 Dawn left for your leader. He's also used 3 Love Beam, so he's never keeping up Dawn for the rest of the game. He's tapping out for the rest of the game. I do believe, unless he plays a 4th Love Beam, which would be interesting. So I go 5, he chips a Perona. I go 8, and he has to take this 8, and we move on with our lives. And that's about it. See, it's very simple. So now it goes back to the Doffy player's turn, and yeah, I was able to calculate that we would get to this spot, but I do not know how to calculate how to get out of this spot. This looks a little bit difficult to navigate for the Doffy player. So we're going to go ahead and draw a card here. It is a Jinbei. And I mean, blockers are the bane of the existence of yellow. And guess what? Doffy has a ton of blockers. So maybe we can find a way to get ourselves out of this scenario. Let's see. So our opponent's hand looks like to be a Doflamingo blocker, a Jinbei, a Mihawk, an Alvida. I might have said the name wrong. The 2K that everyone plays but is not like archetype locked in blue. Box topper from set 1. And I think those are the 4 cards. He doesn't have the Gecko Moria. The Gecko Moria might just be the next card on top of his deck, which would be kind of cool because then you can go attack with leader, play the Moria. Moria give you a Flamingo blocker. So you're summoning the Moria for 1 cheaper, meaning you can go a little bit harder on the attack. So you can go 8, 10 at this Katakuri. We just need to start ripping cards out of this yellow player's hand, right? I mean, if they do have, if we're in the scenario of going mom into mom into mom, we have lost this game. Like, there is no universe where we can win, but we have to try to craft a line of play that does and can win us the game, and that line of play ends up being a ton of blockers and a ton of value. So if you can go ahead and attach 4 down there, 1 down there, he has 3 to work with, 2 up. Not great, but let's see what he opts to do. He could 10-10 the Katakuri and see how his opponent responds. And the easiest way to do that is by going and placing a singular Dawn under Mihawk. Whoa. He's calculating his Dawn usage here, which is interesting. So instead of going for the 10-10, he was going for like 8-12. I do believe. Yeah, he's going to attach 4 Dawn. Yeah, 4 Dawn to the Mihawk, which is 13, which is, again, it's a weird number. It's a little bit 1 over. But that's enough to clean up the Katakuri, which is fine. This is a play that you sometimes have to make because, again, blue doesn't have removal for any cards after a specific cost. So this is unfortunate, right? Because he should have known that Gecko Moria was the next card at the top of his life. So he should have been able to summon the Moria and then played this, played the blocker, so he gets a little bit more information. But it is what it is. Is he putting Moria all the way at the bottom? It's kind of wild. Maybe he didn't want to summon the Moria. I'm trying to find out why that's the case. Right, because you could Moria back a 2K even, have a 5K body on board, and then also have the blocker. But maybe that's just not as good as what else he's thinking of doing. We'll see. So he stacks the top of the deck in that fashion. He's going to go play place 2 on Doffy, swing for 7, use Doffy's ability, pray to the Lord that we don't get a trigger off of life, because We're certainly just cannot afford to do that. And it's not a trigger. Excellent. So step 1 accomplished. And now we pass it back to our opponent. Our hand is pretty darn weak, right? We got 2 2Ks and a 1K. I mean, it's not the worst, right? But we are staring down a biggest mammoth. So our opponent's going to go ahead and untap here. He drew his card. Oh, Jesus, he has another mom. Not like this, man. And go 12 at the Mihawk, I'm assuming. Or at life, who cares? It's getting blocked, and he's just going to play another mom. Oh, my God. I need another sip of coffee for this one. Gosh. Tough. Yeah. So, what is our game plan now? What does it become? What does it look like? What are we doing with our lives? I don't know. If Doffy's able to inch this game out, that would be super duper cool. Now, just for you guys that are still with me, listening to this commentary, I haven't watched this game before. I just went ahead and just video recorded all table 1 matches that I could, excluding mines. I would just sit away. So it's either table 1 or table 2 at this point in time, and I'm assuming that this is going to get really good really fast, right? So I wasn't able to watch these games live, so I don't really know what's coming. And yeah, so the Doffy player is in the exact same predicament that I would be in if I'm in his shoes. I'm staring down 2 Charlotte Linlins, and I don't got much to show for it. It's very, very spooky. You know, it's kind of similar again to the match that we played on a couple weeks ago, where he just didn't have like an early start, and then I was able to amass some big dudes, and then the big dudes really carried me home. The main things of note are just very slight. So he's going to go ahead and put 3 Dawn to the side. Pretty sure Gecko Moria is the next card on the top of his deck, right? So that's going to be Gecko Moria coming out. And then he's going to be able to get a Doffy blocker. So you're already getting taxed minimum 6 Dawn on that. You have 4 other Dawn to work with. 4 other Dawn. When you calculate that with the Mihawk, that just goes ahead and puts Mihawk at 13, which is just a 2K for, to protect the big mom. So I don't think we can afford to even attack one of them. Unless we just, instead of doing anything of that nature, we just attach 9 Dawn to Mihawk and just go attack the mom. Which may not be the worst of plays, right? It's kind of like how back in the day, your opponent would have like an 8-drop kid with no blockers. And if you were blue and they dropped an 8-drop kid and they had no blockers, you just 15 it, right? Or like in the super pre-release, if they have Kaido on the board and they like cleared your board and Kaido attacked and they have no Dawn up, you're like, all right, 15 at the Kaido. Like, you have to do what you got to do. He opts not to do that, though. He goes for what seems to be 8. He's going to add the Moria. Moria's going to add the blocker. And then this is interesting, right? Because if he chooses to combo out of this 2/2Ks, which he does, then he has a smaller hand size to defend the mama. So I don't think he needed to defend here. You have 4 life. The more cards that you have in the hand, the scarier. That could have been a trigger that you could have gone and pitched something for. As long as you can protect your moms, there's no way that your opponent can win this game. So we'll see. He goes ahead and pays the 3 for the Flamingo blocker. And then he has 3 Dawn left. The 3 Dawn could be used in 2 ways, I think, which is probably like attack with the Boa for 7 and then Mihawk for 10, or we just 12 the mom. He does play 4 love beams. Look at that. Would you look at that? Wasn't expecting that. It's also 3,000 worlds. It's a lot of events, man. There's a lot of events in blue that you have to account for. I guess that does create really bricky scenarios. But it is what it is. Those events are just too powerful not to play. Obviously not in this scenario. 3,000 worlds is doing 3,000 nothings at this point in time. Because, my goodness. 2 10 drops, huh? Crazy. Gonna take some time here to think exactly what he wants to put towards the top of the deck. It seems like Love Beam is the card of choice. And then he may want to stack like a 3,000 worlds if he's going to go for like, if he wants to go for a lethal, then those are probably the cards that you want to go ahead and stack. It's probably like Love 2K 3,000 worlds. or like Love, a card that you can summon with Doffy, 2K 3000 worlds, right? It depends how he wants to go ahead and stack them, but pretty interchangeable. If he doesn't want to go for that line and he wants to go for a line that kind of like can deal with the board, then he's going to opt to go ahead and swing. He has to swing with his boa just to get that love beam, right? So he's going to go 6. Yeah, he's going to 9 his face, 6 his face. Oh, he's going to use the boa defensively. I mean, that's also, that's probably pretty good, honestly. I rarely ever use boa as a glorified killer, just because it makes me sad, right? Like, killer is a 2-drop where boa is a 4-5. Like, the stat line is so significantly different that I would never want to use her as a killer. But I can see it, especially in this scenario. I can see where we're going with it. He's going to go ahead and play a pudding, which means, thank God, we don't get mommed for 1 turn. We got some reprieve of Big Mama's just ability. So Pudding's going to go ahead and find a Sanji. He still has 9 total Dawn to work with. Imagine he would have found like a Katakuri here. My goodness. It would have been quite the predicament, huh? So he still has a 9 Dawn to work with. Even a 7-drop mom spell is disaster, right? Because there are scenarios where you can't field the 7-drop mom. Like in this matchup, you can't do it on curve, right? Because if you do it on curve, they just go Mihawk to answer the 7. But in a scenario like this, you can summon the 7-drop mom, right? Because they're just going to heal you, and then you're just going to go 12-12, right? And they're just going to clear their own board for you. And they can't afford to Mihawk, because if they Mihawk, it's their whole turn used, then you can just counter out of everything and then kill them on the crackback. So what I'm trying to say is understand the flow of the game. That'll get you pretty far. I don't, as I was talking, again, looked away. I don't know why I do that. And I missed out on what the Katakuri looked for here. I'm not sure if he looked at his own life. I'm assuming he looked at his own life. I don't think the last life of his opponent matters at all. Again, since my opponent played 3 love beams, I don't need any more information on his deck. There's no trigger in there that I do believe will bother me except like 3000 worlds. And what is it going to bottom deck my pudding? Sure. So he opts to just go a raw 12. Showcasing 8 total Dawn left, which is terrifying. Yeah, it goes 12. He takes the 12. And the last card in life was a 3000 worlds. Again, who cares? You know, actually, that is pretty upsetting. I was going to 8-drop Katakuri the pudding, right? In my brain, if he has the 8-drop. So sad. So he's going to go ahead and 12 once again. And this just eats a blocker, right? It's just Don Quixote Doflamingo just disappears from the board. There's not any rushers that can KO you from the yellow side. The only rusher that they have available is the 4-drop Katakuri, and it's a very conditional rusher. So you shouldn't really be too afraid of that. It is nice, though, that he did trigger that, because now we have, again, he has less cards in hand that we have to worry about. So we know it's not like a 2K or something. But if he did have an 8-drop Katakuri, he could have just played it and put the pudding on the top of the deck to play around it. If he truly wanted to go ahead and do that. He's going to go ahead and double Broly. Double Broly coming down, and that means you guys to keep up 2 for a sovereignty. Oh, yoy, this is tough. Now, we certainly don't have an out for like a lethal here, so very, very tough. Very tough scenario, but he is at 3 life. With not many cards in hand, and the Flamingo's board is getting a little formidable. Every card on the board is above 5k, so there is that on the bright side, I guess. But it does seem like we have very little time left if we're the Flamingo player. I think we have 3 cards in hand, one of them being a Love Beam. Yeah, he hasn't drawn yet. The other one is a Moria. Is there a Moria in his? We got Love, 2k, and a Dream. We got 4 possible attackers. So there is that. No, there's only 2 cards in hand. It's just Love Beam 2k. He's going to go ahead and go 7 at the leader. He blocks that. What do we do now? Well then. I just do believe this is probably over. If that's the case. We're going to have some time to think here, but There's just no way, right? We can block one of the 12 drops with Boa. Boa will give us maybe another 2k. We have Love Beam to draw us another card. So we have exactly like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which gets out of a Big Mom, and then he just puts everything on Katakuri and goes 16. I think we just lose to that. We need to play a couple blockers this turn, but it's impossible with the cards in our hand to really just get them. Like, we don't have a Moria. I haven't seen like Trafalgar Laws, draw 1-drops and stuff like that to really like just block. And it seems like he does have 2 up for the Sovereignty, which I just do believe he has, right? Like, he hasn't played any events. It's pretty reasonable to assume your opponent has it. It's just going to raw 9. That's going to be a Sovereignty. Doesn't even have to use the Brûlés from here. You're just going to... Now he has no feasible way of lethaling you. And that's really interesting about blue, something that you always should keep aware of, right? Because if you are playing against a blue player, you have to know like what their lethal options are, and understanding the fact that they don't have any access to any rushers is a huge deal, because what they have on board is what they can do. It's really, really cool. It's easy to count. I'm gonna go ahead and start attaching a little bit of down here to Doflamingo. Man, that double Brûlé was brutal. Really well played by the yellow player, just keeping those, pocketing them for the perfect moment at the end of the game here. He's going to go ahead and 2-1. He's going to keep up 4 and pass the turn. Wow, with 2 cards in hand, I don't, like I said, I don't believe there's a way that you can really get out of this one. So let's see. I think it's just raw 12, see what happens from there. Yep, raw 12. Good stuff on the opponent. The yellow player is playing pretty darn well. He opts to block. Gonna go ahead and draw a card. Again, Glorified Killer. Not a fan. Not a fan. Oh, is that a Gum Gum Rain? There's Gum Gum Rain in this deck too? There's more defense than I was expecting. So that's Love Beam. Yeah, it's just you're just gonna get 16. Yeah. The writing's on the wall. Just going to see if he can find a way to do it in a manner that is efficient, I believe. So he goes Love to draw a card. It's a 1k counter. You can go ahead and Gum Rain, I guess. No matter what he does, I think he's stuck at exactly... he's going to give him his whole hand just to get out of the Linlin, and then you're just going to see a 16 from Katakuri to go for game. But, yeah. Yeah, we'll see Gum Rain pitching a Boa. That's going to go ahead and put us at exactly 12. And then we'll give him a 2k, and then Katakuri will wrap this game up. Not even 16. GG. And that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like if you like this video. Put a comment in the comment section. I know some people, last time I showed a Doffy versus Katakuri, was swearing that Doffy has like a solid matchup, but by what I saw on the Reddit post using the statistics of the OP-03 tournament, it does seem like Doffy does struggle in this matchup, so it is what it is. And as always, guys, if you haven't joined the crew, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more OP TCG content.